So today we're going to talk all about resonance. Now, for my peeps, I love you guys. Love you so much. This is going to be a repeat. You know what we're about to do. Resonance. When we talk about authenticity and resonance, we've got to get into our bodies. We've got to get into our skulls specifically. So we're going to map out our resonance today. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I honestly think if you're struggling with authenticity, give this a couple of days and it can totally change the way that you relate to your voice. So let's start with something. We've got some adversaries with respect to our authentic resonance. One of those adversaries is vowels, believe it or not, because as soon as you start to change the vocal tract, you are distorting it. You're changing it. And that's fine because we need to distinguish language. But if we don't have a good sense of what our voice feels like to us, we may go too far in either direction. So we're going to bring in a very, very neutral sound, which is H-U-H. Try that with me now. Just let the jaw hang, assisted by gravity. We're going to make beautiful faces today. Let the tongue completely relax and go heavy inside of the mouth. And then also let the back of the throat relax. So you're just going to observe an H-U-H, like a good. Try that one more time. You see how nothing moves? The throat doesn't change? Because even though is a vowel, is really more about the breath doing the work. So there's less vowel demand on the vocal tract with H-U-H than with other actual vowels. So the jaw can hang, the tongue can go like fat and lazy, and the back of the throat just gonna go to sleep. This is your completely and unapologetically present, y'all. This is you doing nothing to change the sound, to protect the sound, to perfect the sound, or to polish the sound. So this is what we're about today. So again, just let the jaw hang. If you need to, you can rest your hands gently on your face. Good. I don't know about you, but as soon as I do this, I feel my belly relax. Anybody else feel that? It's like, oh, goodness, yes, it feels relaxing. So we're just going to let out a very us type sound. Yeah, we didn't need to do anything to generate that sound. We didn't have to think about placement or pitch or quality. None of it. Go ahead and try it again. Very, very good. So that is authentic. Now, the question of whether you like it or not is a totally different question. But here's where we're going to go out on the limb and we're just going to meet our voices and we're just going to be with our sound today. It really may terrify some of you. It really may make you go, oh gosh, that is, oh my God, like that's awful. But I really want you to give yourself some grace because you don't have any quality. There's no vowel there. But where you're going to see a lot of benefit, especially if you are a squeezy singer, is you're asking the tongue, the back of the throat, and the jaw to be nice and loose. So there goes your meddling with the sound. You're not going to meddle with it. And yeah, it kind of takes everything out of the sound. What you're left with is your authentic sound. But once you get what is the word I'm thinking for? A frame of reference for what that feels like, then you can kind of put style back into it. But balance is what we're going for today. So pulling out the piano, here we go. We're going to start, and everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to be different. This is why I wanted to do tessitura first. One thing you will notice is when you are playing with your sound, some resonating spaces are going to be easier to access than others. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're deficient. It just means that you might have moved away from your tessitura. As I do this, it's going to be very obvious in this sound because, again, it's a neutral sound, so there's nothing to hide behind. We're just really exposing everything in the voice. So you're going to be able to really see exactly when I leave my tessitura. And then, yeah, and how that bone structure is oriented. Some spaces may be small, some spaces may be wide. So I just want you to think like it's like close your eyes and think of today as a meditation as we explore your sound. So for guys, I want to start a lot lower than we normally do because I really want to give the guys plenty of time to feel this in their voice. So I'm going to start at C3, which might be middle of the range for some guys, but we're going to start C3. And what I want you to do is, again, just relax the jaw, the tongue, and the back of the throat. As you're coming in the bottom of your range, it's going to feel more like a grunt than anything else. Just respond. Feel that H-U-H. Here we go. Let's try it one more time. Let the breath do all of the work. If you notice that you are trying to make this sound, you're trying to make this sound, I want you to relax. Relax. Relaxation is the great integrator. I know that that doesn't make any sense right now. But as you relax, that's why sometimes we relax and the voice feels it falls apart a little bit because the voice wants to be integrated. So when we relax, it is going to sort of try to dissolve into a full-bodied experience. But if you have a tendency to being hyper-focused on placement, this is going to feel counter to that. So I just want you to relax, let your voice shake if it wants to shake. Just let that breath do all the work. Here we go, one more time. Ride that H-U-H. This feels like grunting. It's like a meditation. Good. Use that H. That's called a delayed onset. Now, again, if your tendency is to be a squeezy singer, then that delayed onset will allow the air to flow through your resonators before the chords close, kind of giving it a little bit more balance at the onset. Let's keep going. Yeah, can you hear how every pitch has sounded different? Pretty cool, isn't it? Every single pitch, no matter how close to each other, sounds different. Now, part of the reason for that is because as we ascend in pitch, the vibrations are ascending in our skeletal system. They're sort of traveling up through our skeletal system. So if I just give you this B to D so you can hear that difference. Can you hear how they're resonating in two very different spaces? Yeah, and it feels really, really good. Now, one thing you will notice with me, because it's such a big part, physically big part of my acoustics, is my nose will be pretty influential in everything I sing. But what you also hear is the chest, the throat, and the mouth. So let's see if we can hear that. If I just sang this C in my throat, I'd be trying to trap this down into my perception of a chest voice. So I would go, You see how that's not authentic? I'm keeping my resonance from going where it needs to go naturally. But if I place it in my mouth, it sounds very abrasive, doesn't it? If I put it in my nose, like each one of those placements sounds like it's missing something. But if I just relax, and I concentrate on that H sound, keeping the tongue, the jaw, and the back of the throat neutral, and I'm not getting upset about it because I'm not trying to rescue the sound. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to share with you. So I'll just chill out. And you can hear the influence of each one of those spaces. Now you will hear that the nose gets a little bit more and more because we're heading toward the nose space. But again, depending on your tendency and depending on the shape of your internal structure, some notes may be a lot easier for you and some notes may be a lot harder, like you just don't feel like you've got access. So we'll talk about that. Mabel's in and she's out and she's in. So let's try C sharp. So we're gonna keep it nice and neutral. Keep that, feel that there's no movement by the tongue or the throat. There's no vowel shape. It's just the H and the breath. Again. Good. Yeah, you can really kind of feel, what I feel is they almost like I'm blowing the sound, like not out my mouth, but kind of out my nose, like a horn. That's what I'm feeling. But again, I have a large, very big. It may not be so big outside, but my nose space is very big on the inside. So let's try that E flat. Hear that difference? You can really hear the sound start to climb up. very good. Now we're about octave and a half from where we first started. But for me, right there, right on that F, is right where the sound begins to make the climb up through the nasal port. And I'm pointing this out because I want you to notice if you notice anything similar in your bone structure. So I'll do this E again. It feels open, it feels clear. It doesn't feel nearly as open. It's going through a smaller space. My nasal port is a little on the smaller side as it goes from mouth into nose. So think of the nasal port as a hallway. You're gonna have a whole series of pitches that move through the nasal port. They don't necessarily belong to the mouth or to the nose per se. But they belong right in that hallway between the mouth and the nose. So let's try this. Good. So you feel again, you may have very, very different nasal port structure than I do, but I feel that it's still free, but the resonating space is a lot smaller. Good. Leslie says, is it beneficial to move between two notes during this exercise? No, not right now, because your mind needs to stay focused on just using the breath and noticing where you feel the resonance. It's very, very easy when you start moving between two notes, like connecting them, to really start to get the throat involved in like making a shape or thinking about a vocal placement. And we don't want to think about that right now. We want it to be as wild and as messy as it possibly needs to be. So just concentrate on that. This feels like it's left my mouth altogether. Let's try that one again.